Dr. Zara Baptiste stood before the cracked glass door of Thompson's corner store, her breath forming small clouds in the crisp Detroit morning air. The faded "For Sale" sign hung crooked, just like her memories of this place. 20 years. 20 years since she'd last stood on this very sidewalk, clutching pennies and her pride. Her fingers found the worn leather coin purse in her coat pocket, the same one she'd carried that humiliating day when she was 8 years old. The leather was softer now, weathered by time and tears, but the metal clasp still clicked with the same determined sound. "Please, Mr. Thompson, I promise I'll pay you back when I grow up. My brother needs this milk." The memory hit her like a physical blow. She could still see Thompson's sneering face, could still hear his cruel words echoing off these same brick walls. "Your people always make promises they can't keep. No money, no milk." Zara's hand tightened around the coin purse. Inside, folded and refolded 1,000 times, was a piece of paper that had saved her life more times than she could count. Her grandmother's handwriting, faded but still legible. "Hold your head high, baby girl. You're descended from queens." She'd been holding her head high ever since. Now, at 28, Dr. Zara Baptiste had everything that 8-year-old girl had dreamed of. A medical degree from University of Michigan, a successful pediatric practice, respect from colleagues who'd once questioned whether someone like her belonged in their world. But standing here, looking at this abandoned store where her childhood dreams had been crushed, she realized she had something more powerful than success. She had a promise to keep. The morning sun caught the gold lettering on the faded sign. Thompson's Corner Store, serving the community since 1975. Serving the community? Zara almost laughed at the bitter irony. This store had served everyone except kids like her. She pulled out her phone and dialed the number from the real estate listing. As it rang, she opened the coin purse and touched the folded note inside. Her grandmother's words had carried her through medical school, through residency, through every moment someone tried to make her feel small. Now, they would carry her home. Morrison Realty, Janet speaking. "Yes, I'm calling about the property on Corktown Avenue, Thompson's Corner Store." Zara's voice was steady, professional. "I'd like to schedule a viewing." "Oh, wonderful. And you're representing which development company?" "I'm not representing anyone. I'm the buyer." I see. Well, I should mention, this is quite a significant investment. The asking price is $350,000. I've done my research." Zara watched a young mother push a stroller past the empty store, the same route she'd walked with her baby brother all those years ago. "When can we meet?" Another pause, longer this time. "I suppose, would this afternoon work? Though I should mention, there have been several inquiries, and the seller is quite particular about maintaining the character of the neighborhood." The character. Zara knew exactly what that meant. "This afternoon is perfect. 2 o'clock? Very well. May I ask your name?" "Dr. Zara Baptiste." She ended the call and looked back at the store. In the dusty window, she could see her reflection. A successful black woman in a tailored coat, her natural hair pulled back in a professional bun, her grandmother's coin purse clutched in her manicured hands. But for just a moment, she also saw that 8-year-old girl, scared, ashamed, but still standing tall because her grandmother had taught her she was descended from queens. The little girl in the reflection seemed to nod. It was time to come home. Zara drove through the old neighborhood, her BMW a stark contrast to the faded houses dotting Corktown. She'd left this place with nothing but dreams and her grandmother's coin purse. Now she was returning with the means to change everything. She parked outside what used to be Mama Rosa's soul food, now just another boarded storefront. The coin purse sat in the passenger seat, its leather surface worn smooth by 20 years of worry and hope. Medical school applications, job interviews. Every time someone questioned her right to be in rooms where she was often the only black face, the coin purse reminded her who she was. The daughter of a night shift janitor. The granddaughter of a woman who'd picked cotton in Alabama. The great-granddaughter of slaves who dreamed of freedom. Queens, every one of them. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Still can't believe you're buying that old store." Corktown needed more than another empty building. It needed hope. Aretha Franklin's voice drifted from across the street, carrying the weight of generations who demanded respect. Some things never changed in Detroit. The music, the resilience, the way neighbors looked out for each other, even when the city forgot they existed. This neighborhood had raised her after her parents died. Mrs. Washington teaching her to braid hair. Mr. Jimmy fixing her bike tire for free. The ladies at Mount Olive Baptiste making sure she had school clothes. They'd believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. Now she had the chance to believe in them. Her phone rang. "Dr. Baptiste, this is Janet Morrison from Morrison Realty. I'm running a few minutes late." "No problem, I'll wait." "Great. Oh, and Dr. Baptiste, I should mention there have been several interested parties. The current owner is quite invested in ensuring the right fit for the neighborhood." The right fit. Zara understood perfectly. She opened the coin purse, revealing her grandmother's note. "Hold your head high, baby girl. You're descended from queens." Beneath it was another piece of paper she'd found last week, a letter addressed to "my future granddaughter." "Someday, you'll come back to plant seeds for the next generation. This soil raised you, it's yours to tend." Her grandmother had known this day would come. A white Lexus pulled up across the street. Time for the real test to begin. Janet Morrison stepped out of her car like she was entering enemy territory. Her designer heels clicked against the cracked sidewalk as she surveyed the neighborhood with barely concealed disdain. She spotted Zara and her expression shifted. Surprise, then something else Zara recognized all too well. "Dr. Baptiste, I presume?" Janet's smile was professional but cold. "I have to say, I wasn't expecting someone so young." Zara gripped the coin purse tighter. "Hold your head high. I appreciate you meeting me on short notice." Janet fumbled with her keys at the store's front door. "Of course, though I should mention, this property has quite a history. The current owner, Mr. Thompson, has very specific ideas about maintaining the neighborhood's character." There it was, the coded language Zara had heard in medical school, in hospital boardrooms, in every space where her presence was questioned. The door creaked open, revealing the dusty interior. Shelves stood empty like tombstones. The register counter where she'd once begged for milk loomed in the corner, unchanged except for the layer of neglect. "As you can see, it needs significant work," Janet said, pulling out her tablet. "The asking price reflects the challenges of this location. Crime rates, demographics, property values in decline." "What kind of demographics concern you?" Zara's voice remained steady, but her grandmother's notes seemed to burn in her pocket. Janet's laugh was sharp. "Oh, you know, the usual urban issues. The previous tenant had some difficulties with the clientele. Theft, loitering, that sort of thing." Zara walked to the window, looking out at the street, where children were walking home from school. The same street where she'd once walked, carrying milk for her baby brother with tears on her cheeks. "Tell me about Mr. Thompson's concerns." "Well, he's been part of this community for decades, built this business from nothing. He wants to ensure any new owner understands the complexities of running a business here." Janet's fingers tapped nervously on her tablet. Frankly, Dr. Baptiste, while your credentials are impressive, retail is quite different from medicine. The dismissal hit like a slap. Zara turned from the window, her hand finding the coin purse in her pocket. She could feel her grandmother's strength flowing through the worn lever. I understand retail perfectly. I grew up shopping here. Oh, Janet's eyebrows rose. You're from the neighborhood? Born and raised. Zara's voice carried a new edge. This store is where I learned that promises matter, where I first understood what it meant to be judged by the color of your skin instead of the content of your character. Janet shifted uncomfortably. I'm sure that's not. When I was 8 years old, I stood at that counter with $2.15, asking for $3.50 worth of milk for my baby brother. Mr. Thompson told me my people always make promises they can't keep. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Dr. Baptiste, I think perhaps we should discuss your financing options. A project like this requires significant capital, and the banks can be quite particular about lending in this area. Particular, another code word. Zara pulled out her phone and showed Janet a screenshot of her bank statement. Will this be particular enough? Janet's face went pale as she saw the number. Old money, inherited and invested. New money, earned through expertise and determination. Enough money to buy Thompson's store 10 times over. That's quite substantial. I want to schedule a meeting with Mr. Thompson, today, if possible. Dr. Baptiste, I'm not sure that's wise. He can be quite set in his ways. Zara looked around the empty store one more time. In her mind, she could see it transformed. Shelves full of fresh produce, families shopping together, children learning that promises could be kept. She headed toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Janet, when you call Mr. Thompson, tell him little Zara Baptiste is all grown up, and she's coming home. Zara found Thompson in the back booth of his tavern, nursing a beer and yesterday's grievances. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes held the same cold contempt she remembered. He didn't stand when she approached. So you're the doctor causing all this fuss? His voice carried the rasp of too many cigarettes. Janet says you think you want my store. I don't think. I know. Zara slid across from him, her hand finding the coin purse. Do you remember me, Mr. Thompson? His pale eyes narrowed. Should I? August 15th, 2003. A little black girl with $2.15 asking for milk. Recognition flickered, followed by something darker. That was you? That was me. Zara placed a $100 bill on the table. You said my people always make promises they can't keep. I kept mine. That's for the milk, with interest. Thompson stared at the money like it might bite him. Cute gesture, but you don't belong in that neighborhood anymore, girl. You got your fancy education. Send a check from your suburb. Those are families, Mr. Thompson. Children who need fresh food and safe places to shop. Don't lecture me. I've been serving that neighborhood for 40 years. You've been exploiting it. The words came out sharper than intended. Overpriced, expired food, no fresh produce, treating customers like criminals. Thompson's face flushed red. You don't know what it's like running a business where people steal everything, where half pay with food stamps and the other half with sob stories. Zara opened the coin purse, touching her grandmother's note. The paper was soft with age, but the words gave her strength. My grandmother worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. She never stole a thing. Zara's voice carried new authority. But you saw only what you wanted to see. I remember her too, always counting pennies, acting like she was too good for charity. The insult hit like a physical blow, but instead of anger, Zara felt her grandmother's quiet dignity rising inside her. She was too good for charity. She worked for every penny. Zara folded the note carefully, and she taught me that self-respect isn't something you give up for anyone's convenience. Thompson stood abruptly. "Listen here, girl. I don't care how many degrees you've got. That store is staying in the right hands. Hands that understand what this neighborhood needs. And what does it need? Discipline, order, people who know their place." The words hung in the air like a curse, but Zara heard something else. Fear. The fear of a man watching his world change. "The neighborhood needs hope, Mr. Thompson, something you've never understood." "We'll see about that. I've got friends in city planning, on the council." His voice carried a threat. "Don't think this is over." Zara smiled, thinking of Dr. Carter's promise years ago. Kindness coming full circle. "No, Mr. Thompson, it's just beginning." The video went viral overnight. Someone had recorded Thompson's rant outside the tavern, his voice slurring as he told a reporter, "That neighborhood needs people who know their place, not some uppity doctor thinking she can change the world." Zara watched the clip on her phone as local news vans lined up outside her apartment. Her grandmother's coin purse sat on the kitchen table, a reminder of why she was fighting. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw a familiar face, Dr. Samuel Carter, the man who changed her life 20 years ago. "I saw the news," he said when she opened the door. "Thought you might need some backup." Dr. Carter looked exactly as she remembered. Kind eyes, gentle strength, the bearing of someone who'd fought these battles before. Behind him stood a young black reporter with a camera crew. "Dr. Baptiste, I'm Maya Williams from Channel 7. Dr. Carter suggested we talk about your vision for the community." They sat in Zara's living room, the coin purse between them on the coffee table. As the camera rolled, Zara found herself telling the story she'd carried for 20 years. "This isn't about revenge," she said, touching the worn leather. "It's about promises. When I was 8, I promised I'd pay for that milk when I grew up. But I want to do more than pay. I want to transform what that store represents." Dr. Carter leaned forward. "Tell them about Queen's Market." Zara's eyes lit up. She'd been developing the concept for months, but this was the first time she'd shared it publicly. "Queen's Market won't just be a grocery store. We'll offer health screenings, nutrition education, job training programs, fresh produce at affordable prices, a place where families can shop with dignity." "And the coin purse?" Maya asked, gesturing to the table. Zara picked it up, opening it to reveal her grandmother's note. "My grandmother taught me that we're descended from queens. Every child in that neighborhood deserves to know their royalty too." After the interview, Dr. Carter stayed behind. "There's something I need to tell you," he said, "about that day in the store." Zara waited. "I wasn't just a successful doctor passing by. I was that little boy Thompson turned away 30 years before you. When I saw you standing there, I saw myself." The revelation hit like lightning. "You, Thompson's been doing this for decades, humiliating children, breaking spirits, keeping the community down." Dr. Carter's voice carried old pain. "But you're going to break the cycle." Zara's phone buzzed with notifications. The interview was already being shared thousands of times. Comments poured in, some supportive, others ugly with racism and doubt. But then she saw something that made her heart soar. A comment from Mrs. Washington, her old neighbor. "That little girl always had a queen's heart. Come home, baby, we're ready." More comments followed. Mr. Jimmy offering to help with renovations. The ladies from Mount Olive Baptist organizing a fundraiser. Even former patients from her pediatric practice pledging support. Dr. Carter smiled at her expression. "You're not fighting alone anymore." That evening, Zara walked through Corktown with new eyes. The abandoned lots looked like opportunities. The struggling families looked like her future customers. The children playing in the streets looked like the next generation of queens and kings. She stopped outside Thompson's store, pressing her palm against the dusty window.
Inside, she could see it all. Fresh vegetables where expired goods once sat. Families shopping together where suspicion once ruled. Hope where despair had lived. The coin purse in her pocket felt warm against her hand. Tomorrow, the real work would begin.
The Detroit City Council chambers buzzed with tension. Zara had never seen so many people packed into the public gallery. Supporters wearing Queen's Market t-shirts on one side, Thompson's allies clutching "Preserve Our Community" signs on the other. She clutched the coin purse in her lap as Councilman Bradley called the meeting to order. The business license hearing that should have been routine had become a battleground. Thompson sat in the front row with 3 lawyers and a smug expression. When their eyes met, he smiled coldly and mouthed, "Your place." Janet Morrison stood first, her voice crisp and professional. The proposed business plan shows clear inexperience in retail management. Dr. Baptiste, while accomplished in medicine, lacks the practical knowledge to operate in this challenging demographic. Challenging demographic. The coded language made Zara's jaw clench. Furthermore, Janet continued, the neighborhood association has expressed concerns about increased traffic, loitering, and the potential for undesirable elements that community programs might attract. Murmurs rippled through Thompson's supporters. Zara heard whispers of crime, welfare dependence, lowering property values. Dr. Carter squeezed her shoulder from the seat behind her. "Your grandmother's watching," he whispered. When they called her name, Zara walked to the podium with steady steps. She placed the coin purse on the lectern, her grandmother's strength flowing through her fingers. 20 years ago, I stood in Thompson's corner store as an 8-year-old girl, asking for help. I was told my people always make promises they can't keep. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. Today, I'm here to keep mine. She opened the coin purse, revealing the worn note inside. My grandmother taught me that we're descended from queens. Every family in Corktown deserves to be treated like royalty, not criminals. A woman in the gallery called out, "Tell them, Dr. Zara." Queen's Market isn't just about groceries, it's about dignity. Fresh produce at fair prices, health screenings for families who can't afford regular checkups, job training for young people who need opportunities, not judgment. Councilman Bradley leaned forward. "Dr. Baptiste, what experience do you have managing such programs?" "I've managed emergency rooms where seconds mean life or death. I've treated children who come to the ER because they don't have access to basic health care. I've seen what happens when communities are abandoned." Zara's voice grew stronger. "I have the experience that matters. I know what this neighborhood needs because I am this neighborhood." Thompson's lawyer stood. "Objection! Dr. Baptiste's emotional appeals don't address the legitimate business concerns." "This isn't a courtroom," Councilwoman Martinez interrupted. "Let her speak." Zara looked directly at Thompson. "Mr. Thompson claims he served this community for 40 years, but service means lifting people up, not keeping them down. It means seeing potential, not just problems." She held up the coin purse. "This belonged to my grandmother, a woman who cleaned offices at night so her granddaughter could become a doctor. She taught me that promises kept can change the world." The chamber fell silent, except for the soft sound of someone crying. "I'm not asking for charity, I'm offering partnership. A place where every child can walk in with dignity, where every family is treated with respect, where the American dream isn't reserved for some neighborhoods but extended to all." When she finished, the gallery erupted. Thompson's supporters remained seated while others rose in thunderous applause. But as Zara returned to her seat, she noticed Councilman Bradley's expression hadn't changed. The vote would be closer than she'd hoped.
"Before we vote," Councilman Bradley announced, "Mr. Thompson has requested to address the council."
Zara's heart sank. She watched Thompson approach the podium with the confident stride of a man who'd never been denied anything in his life. "Council members, I've served this community longer than some of you have been alive." His voice carried the authority of old Detroit, when neighborhoods knew their boundaries and people stayed in their lanes. "I've seen businesses come and go, watched outside interests promise change and deliver chaos." He gestured towards Zara without looking at her. "Dr. Baptiste talks about dignity and respect. But I ask you, what's dignified about handouts? What's respectful about telling hard-working families they need saving?" Murmurs of agreement from his supporters. Zara gripped the coin purse tighter. "This community doesn't need another social experiment. It needs stability, order, the kind of business that understands how things work around here." Thompson paused, scanning the council members' faces. "I've decided to withdraw my store from sale and reopen it myself, under proper management." The gallery erupted. Zara felt the world tilt sideways. He couldn't just withdraw the sale, could he? Councilwoman Martinez banged her gavel. "Mr. Thompson, the property is already under contract pending this hearing." "With all respect, Councilwoman, no money has changed hands. I'm exercising my right as property owner to cancel the transaction." Zara's lawyer whispered urgently in her ear, but the words felt distant. 20 years of dreaming, planning, hoping, destroyed in 30 seconds. Dr. Carter leaned forward. "Stand up." "What?" "Stand up, Zara. Your grandmother didn't raise a quitter." Zara rose on unsteady legs. "Councilman Bradley, may I respond?" Bradley looked uncomfortable but nodded. Zara walked back to the podium, the coin purse trembling in her hands. The chamber fell silent, waiting. "Mr. Thompson is right about one thing. This community has seen a lot of broken promises." Her voice started soft but grew stronger. "But those promises were broken by people like him, people who saw only what was wrong instead of what was possible." She opened the coin purse, pulling out not just her grandmother's note, but a second piece of paper she'd been saving for this moment. "This is a petition signed by 847 residents of Corktown. Every signature represents a family that believes in Queen's Market. Every name belongs to someone Mr. Thompson called unworthy." She began reading names. Mrs. Sarah Washington, who raised 6 children while working 2 jobs. Mr. James Miller, who served in Vietnam and came home to find his neighborhood abandoned. Maria Santos, who immigrated here with nothing but hope. Her voice carried across the silent chamber. "These aren't statistics, Mr. Thompson. These are queens and kings who deserve better than your outdated ideas of who belongs where." Thompson's face had gone pale, but Zara wasn't finished. "You want to talk about proper management? I'll show you proper management." She held up her grandmother's note. "This woman taught me that promises kept can change the world. The promise I'm making isn't just to buy your store. It's to honor every family you've dismissed, every child you've made feel small." She looked directly at the council members. "Mr. Thompson has the legal right to withdraw his property, but you have the power to issue a business license to whoever does business in this community. The question is, will you choose the past or the future?" When she sat down, the chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then Mrs. Washington stood in the gallery. "I support Dr. Zara." Mr. Jimmy rose next. "Me too." One by one, Zara's supporters stood until half the chamber was on its feet. Councilman Bradley cleared his throat. "We'll take a brief recess before voting." But Zara could see the answer in his eyes. The tide had turned. The council returned after 20 minutes, but Zara could read the decision on their faces before Councilman Bradley spoke. The Detroit City Council approves Dr. Baptiste's business license for Queens Market, contingent upon securing appropriate property within the Corktown district. The gallery exploded in cheers. Zara felt tears she'd been holding back for 20 years finally flow freely. The coin purse seemed to pulse with warmth in her hands. But the victory felt incomplete. Without Thompson's store, she'd have to start over, find new property, rebuild her vision from scratch. Dr. Carter appeared at her side as reporters crowded around. "There's something else," he said quietly. "I've been making some calls." Before she could ask what he meant, a young black woman in an expensive suit pushed through the crowd. "Dr. Baptiste, I'm attorney Jennifer Hughes from Hughes & Associates. Dr. Carter retained us to research Mr. Thompson's property." Zara looked between them, confused. "It turns out," Hughes continued with a smile, "Mr. Thompson owes 3 years of back taxes on that property. The city can force a sale to recover the debt." She handed Zara a thick folder. "We've already filed the paperwork. You'll have first right of purchase at fair market value." Thompson, still standing near the podium, overheard and went white. "That's impossible. I've been current on—" "Check your records, Mr. Thompson. Property tax bills were sent to your old address after you moved to the suburbs. You've been in default since 2021. The irony was perfect. Thompson, who'd spent decades exploiting loopholes to keep others down, had been caught by one himself. 3 weeks later, Zara stood in front of Queens Market, watching workers install the new sign. The coin purse sat in a place of honor behind the customer service counter, displayed in a simple frame alongside her medical diploma and a photo of her grandmother. The renovation had been a community effort. Mr. Jimmy and his construction crew worked for cost. The ladies from Mount Olive organized volunteer painting days. Former patients sent donations from across the city. Thompson had left town quietly after the tax sale, but not before stopping by one last time. "You think you've won something," he'd said, standing in the empty store. Zara had looked around at the fresh paint, the new shelving, the modern refrigeration units. "I think I've kept a promise." Now, on opening day, families lined up around the block. Children pressed their faces against the windows, marveling at the bright displays of fresh fruit. Elderly neighbors who'd walked miles for groceries could shop 5 minutes from home. Dr. Carter cut the ribbon alongside Zara, his presence connecting past and future. "Your grandmother would be proud," he said as the crowd cheered. Inside, Zara watched Mrs. Washington select fresh vegetables while her great-grandson played in the designated children's area. Mr. Jimmy bought coffee and complimented the health screening corner, where a nurse checked blood pressure for free. A young Latina mother approached the counter with her daughter, counting bills carefully. The little girl looked up at Zara with wide eyes. "Is it true you were poor like us?" she asked. Zara knelt down, gesturing toward the framed coin purse. "I was exactly like you, and look what happened when I remembered I was descended from queens." The little girl smiled and stood a little taller. As the sun set on Queens Market's first day, Zara touched the coin purse through its frame. Her grandmother's words had carried her home, and now they will carry the next generation forward. Some promises, she realized, were worth a lifetime of keeping. 6 months later, Queens Market had become the heart of Corktown in ways Zara never imagined. The morning health screenings caught diabetes and hypertension early. The job training program had placed 12 young people in steady employment. The children's reading corner buzzed with activity every afternoon. But it was the small moments that meant the most. Like watching Mrs. Washington teach neighborhood kids to garden in the community plot behind the store, or seeing Mr. Jimmy mentor teenage boys in basic carpentry skills, or the way families lingered after shopping, treating the store like the community center it had become. Zara was restocking the produce section when a familiar face appeared, Dr. Samuel Carter, carrying a manila envelope and wearing a proud smile. "I have something for you," he said, handing her the envelope. "The Carter Foundation's newest scholarship program." Inside were applications for the Queen's Market Community Scholars, full college scholarships for Corktown students, funded by Dr. Carter's foundation and administered through the store. "The first recipient should be special," he said. "I have someone in mind." That afternoon, they called Sophia Santos to the customer service counter. The 8-year-old who'd asked if Zara had once been poor like her stood nervously beside her mother, unsure why she'd been summoned. Zara knelt to her level, opening the frame that held her grandmother's coin purse. She carefully removed the note and read it aloud. "Hold your head high, baby girl. You're descended from queens. Sophia, this scholarship will pay for your college education when you're ready. But more than that, I want you to have this." Zara handed her a small replica of the coin purse with her grandmother's words copied inside. "To remind you that queens can come from anywhere." Sophia's eyes filled with wonder as she clutched the little purse. "Will I be a doctor like you?" "You'll be whatever you choose to be. That's what queens do. They choose their own destiny." As word spread through the neighborhood, more families came to see the scholarship announcement. Children who'd never imagined college suddenly spoke of dreams: engineering, teaching, nursing, business. Parents who'd worked 3 jobs just to survive began planning for futures they'd never dared envision. Thompson never returned to Detroit, but Zara heard he'd sold his tavern and moved to Florida. Sometimes she wondered if witnessing Queen's Market's success had changed him, or if he simply couldn't bear to watch the neighborhood thrive without him. It didn't matter. The community had moved beyond needing his approval. That evening, as Zara locked up the store, she paused at the community bulletin board. Photos covered the surface: customers celebrating graduations, new jobs, healthy babies. In the center hung a picture from opening day: Zara cutting the ribbon with Dr. Carter while hundreds of neighbors cheered. She touched the framed coin purse one last time before turning off the lights. Through the window, she could see children playing in the pocket park the city had built next door, their laughter echoing off the buildings. Her grandmother's voice seemed to whisper in the evening air, "Well done, baby girl, well done." 20 years ago, an 8-year-old had promised to pay for milk when she grew up. Tonight, Dr. Zara Baptiste smiled as she walked home, knowing some promises transform entire communities when they're finally kept. The coin purse had come full circle, from symbol of poverty to beacon of hope. And in the children who now carried their own small purses filled with dreams, the legacy would continue. Queens, every one of them.